Hello everybody, and welcome back to another Marley Reads wrap-up. Today we are going to be going over May, I didn't read any books in June, and July. So strap in. Tell Peaches she looks great in the comments. Also, you may not have noticed, but I post on my community sometimes. So go over there and drop a question for an up-and-coming Q&A. But for now, watch this video and then go leave a question, or leave a question and then come back, because books. Alright, so these are all the books that I read in May and June. I don't know if many of you know this, but I've been in a bit of a reading slump lately. Pretty much as soon as January ended, I read like 15 books. My brain gave up on me. And I stopped being able to read. And my mom started being able to. She didn't learn. She just was no longer that busy. So she read more books than I did. She read like most of the books on my shelf. And now we're running out of books. But without further delay, May. Okay. In May, I read Wings of Starlight by Alison Soft, and this got a 5 stars. So for those of you who may not know this book that well, it is basically based off of the Disney fairies, like, canon universe, and the Secret of the Wings is one of the Disney fairies movies where Tinkerbell, they kind of expand the world a little bit and bring in other seasons. So we have spring, autumn, summer, and then winter. And in that story, there's like a little sprinkling of a untold tale between these two characters. So this book basically dives into that and goes over what that story could entail or could be, or like almost is, because I'm pretty sure this is properly licensed. Yes, so this is basically the canon of what happens between those two characters. And going into it, I knew obviously they get back together in the movie, so I knew that this was basically going to be them breaking up, getting together and then breaking up. But it's almost the third act resolution that you would normally think whenever the third act conflict happens. The resolution never happens. So it's basically just ends on a really sad note. But with all that said, The Secret of the Wings was my favorite movie because of those two and the unresolved drama, because I didn't know what actually had happened with those two. So this was amazing. It got a 5 stars, and it also like low-key kind of got me out of my reading slump, and then I never read anything again in June. Because I almost wanted something as good as this, and I don't know if you guys ever do this, but whenever I read a 5 star, I almost like don't want to read anymore because I'm like, it was so good. And I would literally suggest that you read this and then go watch the movie, because they talk about stuff that happens that it feels like it should have happened after this book. Like, it shouldn't be reversed. Also, look at this art. And if you take the dust cover off, it's like, stop. It's so pretty. And the book itself is the loveliest little shade of blue. This was one of those books where I was close to the end, so I decided to just full send, and it was so good. I read this in probably 3 days from just reading at nighttime. And I bought 2 versions. I actually got this for my sister's birthday because she was born in May. Happy birthday, sister. I mean, you literally saw her in my video 2 weeks ago. But I bought 2 of them and read this one, and I was screaming at her to read it, but she is not a reader. I don't know how I thought I was the only reader in this family, and then my mom was like, I'm deciding to be a reader, and my sister's not. I need to get to her soon. But this is a 5 star. We're starting off this video with a bang. Next, I read Amelia If Only. Amelia If Only. Basically, this is a story about a girl named Amelia whose favorite YouTuber is coming to her, like a meet and greet near her. So she takes her best friend, Natalie, and drives down to go with her like other two best friends, drives down to go meet this YouTuber. And then fun shenanigans happen, and basically Amelia and Natalie end up together. Which isn't a spoiler, they're literally on the cover together. And it's, you know, they're the two main characters. I read this over the span of, I want to say, a week. I brought it to the beach with me, and then I brought it back from the beach with me, practically unread. Then I took it to a doctor's appointment and finished the whole thing. But while at said doctor's appointment, I had to keep putting the book down and picking it back up. So at the end, I don't know if I got a little jumbled in the process, but this got a 4 and then in parentheses 0.99, because there's this one couple at the end who I literally love so much. They have like literally a page of being a couple. I keep cutting off my head. They have literally a page of being a couple, and I was like, absolutely. They are my love. I will keep them right in my heart forever. I just truly love them so much. I'm gonna say their name right now for like a quick second, so if you don't want to know that they're coming, skip like a couple of seconds. Walter and Matt, I forgot his name. Mark. Sorry guys, totally told you to skip a couple seconds and then I forgot the name. Mark and Walter. I love them. I just can't. They're literally so cute. And so I didn't really like this book, but I just like them. Hence the 0.999. Because if they had their own book, I would actually die. But this is also written by the same person who wrote Love, Simon. Oh, Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda. Now a motion picture, Love, Simon. Which I haven't seen, and I didn't know that she had written this. But it's so good. And also, I just want to put a PSA out there that it's not that I didn't like the first couple because they were both girls. There was something about the way that she went through making them friends to lovers that really bothered me a lot, because it almost felt like Amelia didn't realize it was an option, except like she kind of had fleeting feelings, but it didn't feel like there were enough seeds to be planted for it to sprout into a relationship. It kind of felt like seed, low-key just how people treat their best friends, I feel. And then romance. I also read the last page before I bought it because I didn't know anything about it, and all I saw whenever I went to go see how big the font was, because I'm scared of tiny fonts, I went to go see how big it was, and accidentally saw that Natalie was gone, and so I freaked. But it was just that conflict. So 4.9999 in parentheses. Because I said I suggested you read this one. I would say read this one if you're into like best friends to lovers. Also, just read it for Walter. Walter is me and I am Walter. I want to be Walter one day. He's like a famous YouTuber. Like, it's me. Next, I read This Time It's Real. Oh, this one was written by Becky Albertalli. Next, I read This Time It's Real by Anne Lang. I've also read I Hope This Finds You. She wrote that. I just knocked all my books over. And I bought this, and then I figured out I didn't like fake dating, and then it sat on my shelf, and then I low-key got out of a reading slump because I read Amelia If Only and was kind of like, maybe I could be a reader, even though I have an entire YouTube channel dedicated to the fact that I read. Maybe I could read. So, this book annoyed me a lot because it's really weird, and I was trying not to crack the spine, so I was trying to read it like this. It's just really weird, really bound. I don't know why it's bound like that. Literally. This is a story about a girl who writes a fake essay about how she got with her boyfriend, and then it gets published and it's really famous. It goes viral and everybody's trying to figure out who the boyfriend is. And so she gets in this fake relationship with this really famous actor who also goes to her school, and basically they are trying to act like they're a couple so that she can get all the people who are freaking out about her like essay, and she gets an internship because she's a really good writer. And so she helps him write essays for school, and he takes her on fake dates. Obviously, we all know where this is going. They get together in the end. I gave this a 4.7 because, again, I really don't like fake dating all that much, but it was actually super good because the fake dating, they both questioned it. Like, it wasn't one-sided questioning. It wasn't like, oh, maybe it's not fake. Maybe this is actually real. They both question it, and it seems like he catches feelings first, which I like better because then it's kind of like she's not being used. In most cases, it's a girl using a guy, and I just can't be feminist on that, because normally the girl falls first, and then the guy's like, what you said, we were just supposed to keep this casual, and the girl gets mad at him because she's like, you weren't supposed to think that it was fake, and then it's like, it blows up. So I gave this a 4.7. It got 3 points off because just that part, I don't know, the fact that she's using him, but also they kiss to prove it to everybody, and then she's like, shoot, I have real feelings, I want away from him. It's just like actually really sad. Anyway, I say if you like fake dating, read this. If you liked K-pop Demon Hunters, I know that's been going around recently. I watched K-pop Demon Hunters while I was watching this, and it's actually pretty great. I know a lot of people have this on their like K-pop Demon Hunters list. So she mentions BTS like once in here. No mention of Stray Kids. It's fine. Not really sad about, I mean, I am sad, but you know. Okay, next up, I don't know where this should go in the stack because I didn't put it on my list. I read the Serendipity 10 Romance Tropes Transformed, edited by Marissa Meyer, because I'm quite the big Marissa Meyer fan. Quite the Marissa Meyer fan. She's one of my, if she writes it, I'll read it. This is 10 stories written by 10 different authors about 10 different romance tropes, but the romance tropes are all kind of changed, but they're a collection of short stories in the span of about 300 pages. So do the math in your head. That means about everybody has like 50 pages, give or take. I didn't count. I didn't do the math in my head. I'm just estimating that I think it was 50 pages. But that means insta-love. Almost every time. There was one trope in this book that was platonic, and it felt off because it was the only trope in here that was platonic. But I actually like the platonic people a lot. So, I can't go through and rank every single story in here because that would be like ranking 10 books. And that's just a lot. And it's not even a book. I'm going to have so many more quibbles with it because it was so short-lived. So I'm just going to give you my thoughts, and you can decide if you even want to jump into all 10 of these. It was very annoying to me at the first because the insta-love is so prominent. Like, they didn't even really try to make it like they just had a slow-going connection over 50 pages. It was kind of like they meet, something goes down, kiss. Except for the platonic time, which was great. I like the platonic one. I do remember one story in here. She meets the guy, and then it ends on like a cliffy, which was good. There was one story in here that I really liked because it didn't feel like insta love. Here, let me tell you which ones I liked. Okay, let's just go through like that. Okay, Bye Bye Piper Berry, which was The Fake Relationship by Julie Murphy. I didn't like that one that much. The Fake Relationship. Anyone Else But You, Stranded Together by Leah Johnson. That was, yeah, I did not like that one too much because, again, kind of insta-love, and also it was like forced proximity. The Idiom Algorithm by Abigail Hingway, The Class Warfare. Yeah, I remember that one. No. Just no. Old Acquaintance, The Best Friend Love Epiphany by Kayla Brower. I mean, crazy. And not just because I ship so many non-canon couples that best friends actually getting together is really exciting to me. Shooting Stars, one by Marissa Meyer. And Marissa, I didn't like this one that much. It was cute, but just the sharing bed. Keegan's Heaven on Earth, The Secret Admirer, Sarah Winfred Sono. That was the graphic novel that was popped in here. That was so insta-love. It actually made me crazy. Zora in the Spotlight, The Grand Romantic Gesture by Elise Bryant. My favorites. In a Blink of the Eye, Trapped in a Confined Space. In the Blink of an Eye. That's the Best Friends one. It was pretty good. Liberty, The Makeover, Anna Marie McLemore. I think that was my favorite one. And then The Surprise Match, The Matchmaker, Sandhya Menon. That was pretty good. So do with that information as you will. I didn't rank all of them because I thought that was like low-key silly, so that was just a book I read. Sounds Like Love by Ashley Poston. I have The 7 Year Slip and another love story. I don't have The Dead Romantics. Guys, actually low-key comment in the bottom if I should read The Dead Romantics because I think a friend of mine read it and said it wasn't good. So, Sounds Like Love. Basically, it's a story about this girl, Joni Lark, who writes a really big hit and is like a songwriter, and then she goes home for the summer and can't get a tune out of her head, and then she finds out that somebody is actually in her head singing that tune, and basically her and this other guy find out that they have like a mind connection, and that at some point they got telepathic, and then they have to write this song to get it out of both of their heads and hopefully tie off the telepathic connection. And so he travels to where she's been vacationing at home, and drama ensues. Guys, literally go get popcorn, come back, and we're going to talk about this book because I gave it a 5 stars and I wish I could give it more. Guys, the drama, the nickname, the telepathic connection, the fact that they can't keep any secrets from each other because they're literally in each other's heads. I think this book literally went crazy. I just cannot. And every title was a song, like I Wanna Be With You. There was a Taylor Swift one here. Just actually so good. And I don't even just say that because obviously I have read Ashley Parson in the past, but I say it because the people from the 7 Year Slip show up in here. And it was just really good. I bought it from Target. Shout out Target. I was out with a friend and she said, do you want to go spend money? And I said, say less. And I went and bought this book and oh my gosh. And the first page got wrinkled because it was raining. That's not important because this book was gold. And if you want to be happy, I suggest you read it. If you want your life to get a little bit better, read this book. Lastly, The Lucky Ones, which is a story about a girl, trigger warning, her brother gets murdered in a school shooting, and she's like obviously coming to terms with that and what it means, and they're like the newest semester is starting, so everyone's returning to school. And then Zach's mother is the lawyer for the shooter, and she just like, she believes that everyone should have a fair trial and everything. And so May, the girl who's lost her brother, is like really upset and everything with the lawyer, obviously, on knowing that Zach is the one who's like getting most of the like attacks and everything. Like, she's spray painting their house and Zach has to wake up and change it. They meet unknowing that, so then the whole story is about how she finds that out. And so it was kind of almost insta love, but in the fact that they both needed somebody to lean on and they both found somebody to lean on, and it was actually a really sweet moment. And it grapples with like suicide and grief and manic people, like people who have unhealthy coping mechanisms and unhealthy mental issues that aren't resolved and aren't understood and aren't coped with, and PTSD, and just a lot of really heavy like things, but in a romance book almost, like they do get together before she finds out who he is. I know that's definitely a spoiler, but I'm saying that because if I had been told that going into this book, I would have come to it in such a different way, I feel, than I originally went into it, because I went into it being like, okay, so they're gonna lean on each other, unknowing that she was the one who's making his life living hell. And it was just so sad because she also has panic attacks during it, and so I can, like, that's sometimes triggering to other people. And so when I like went into reading this, I tried to do it so delicately and everything that it was kind of like I appreciated it for what it is, but it got a 4.6 because it's just not unlike anything I've ever read, and I feel like it's so tough to rate a book that's like dealing with all of these issues, because it's not supposed to be right. It's not supposed to be like, you're not supposed to agree with it. You're not supposed to be like, that makes sense, because everybody else is going through things that are so differently, and I'm rating a book on something that I've never been through and hopefully will never have to go through, and hopefully no one else will ever have to go through that. And so reading it is just like kind of just heavy, and so it took me a little bit to get through, and I had 100 pages left and just read it all night, and it went really quickly because once you get into the story, you just want to have a satisfying ending. And I think the worst part of the entire thing was it doesn't have a satisfying ending, and it's kind of just like hope. And hope's not always satisfying because you can hope for something always that's never going to come. And so it was just like, you want to be able to float away on a cloud afterwards, but you realize when you're done you're still on the ground. So for someone who reads books mostly as escapism because, you know, life sucks, it was almost like I was escaping to something that was worse. And so, I don't know. it puts so many things into perspective for me. Like, I feel like everyone should be on, like, they should be on school reading lists just because it makes you, like, a different person afterwards. This is the last book I read, and I decided to film this video because I'm not sure when my next book will be. And so I was like, I need to just wrap up July with this one because that's crazy. Also, I'm reading Powerless, and I know it's a slow-going book, so I was like, I'll just stop maybe a week. I think it's a week until July ends. So I decided to just, you know, put this one down and rate it, but then put like a little disclaimer that you can't put an amount of stars on somebody's grief and somebody's pain. Also, while we're on the topic of deep thoughts, I'm going to go back to Sounds Like Love for a second, because her mom is suffering with early onset dementia. So a big part of the book is coming to terms with that, and coming to terms with the fact that she might not always have that person. And it's kind of like this is her last summer to spend with her mom before her mom's health obviously decreases more than it already has and deteriorates over time. And so they talk about that a lot in this book. The author's note at the end changed my life. I gave this book such good, like, ratings before, but at the end, if you go into the reader's guide and you read the author's note, it's so touching. And as someone who's had family members who have had dementia, and I was born never knowing the person that they were before, getting to read someone saying goodbye to the person that they were before was actually so, like, I don't even know the word for it. Like, how do you describe that feeling? Because I never knew who that person was before the disease. And so seeing who like her mom was, and knowing that her mom was scared, and knowing that her mom was, like, knew that she wasn't going to be herself after, like, that moment, and knowing that every single day was a step back instead of a step forward for her, was so, like, it made the rest of the book seem like such a silly little thoughtless, like, oh, they can read each other's minds. But just also the fact that she's so scared of what's going on in her mom's mind, that the comfort of getting to know what's happening in the guy that she's interested in's mind added such another, like, a level of depth to it, because obviously her mom is forgetting what her name is, her mom's forgetting where she's supposed to go, her mom's forgetting why she left the house and is coming back and being like, why was I in the car? But on the other side of the flip of the coin, her, like, significant other, she can hear all of his thoughts, and so she knows what he's thinking and she knows what he's not thinking. And so it felt so comforting. Maybe that's why I just liked them both, even though it was kind of weird and kind of like such an invasion of privacy, because she always needed to know what he was thinking, because she could never know what her mom was thinking, and even her mom didn't know what she was thinking half of the time. So I don't know, I feel like that's just an important part of this book. And I know I kind of do these videos to, like, poke and have fun, and I'm never really that serious about reading a book, but this is one of those books that's just not a silly rom-com that you read and then you put down and you're like, oh, if only real life was like that. This is one of those books that's like, no, this is what real life is, and it's based in this world of magical realism that can make it so easy to be like, okay, I'm going to turn off that part of my brain and not believe it, but then there's other parts that make it believable. And so just built up, like, reading these two books next to each other, practically one after the other, like, crazy. I put my life into such perspective, and I almost wish, like, obviously family member that I had that had dementia is no longer with us. And I don't know, I feel like I would have come at it at such a different angle. Instead of being angry that I lost the person that they were before and never got to know them and just knew them when they didn't know who I was, maybe I would have seen them differently because they didn't know. And just because they didn't know, it wasn't my fault and it wasn't theirs. And on that note, because, you know, we're all gonna go back to our normal lives now. I'm going to vacation at the end of the month. So, a little PSA, public service announcement here. I'm gonna not be posting any videos, and I'm not gonna be posting any shorts I'm leaving at the end of the month, and I'm coming back at the beginning of the month. So, I have been posting non-stop shorts 3 a day since March, so I will not be posting for a week. Tragic, I know. And when I come back, I'll be doing my Q&A, so remember guys, get those questions in. I said I was going to close the comments on the 26th. I mean, I might. It's not really closing the comments. You guys can keep sending them in until I get back in the beginning of August. Mostly because the Q&A is for when I hit 1K. We're so close, guys. Thank you so much. But I thought I would do something special for 1K. So the Q&A has to sit in the back until we hit 1K. So the questions are really going to be open until I see that little 1 instead of the 9. And then I will literally run into this room and film it right away. So you can put questions in basically until you see me hit 1K. If you look at the thing and it says subscribers 1K, don't send any questions because I probably will not get to them. But yes, I won't be here. Tragic. It's really sad. And obviously, put those questions in. Third, I'm taking book recommendations. Oh my gosh. So as soon as I finish reading Powerless, if I ever get through it, give me book recommendations in the bottom. Also, I haven't done this in any of my videos. I'm on Instagram. Oh my gosh. So, if you want to go over there, it's also Marley with 3 Y's and a dot, and then Serenity with 3 Y's. And it's also in my YouTube bio, so you can check that out. It's not on, like, it says professional account. I didn't put mine down as a professional account. So, I'm going to tag that. Go follow me on Instagram. It's basically a fun time where I sometimes repost shorts that I do with different captions for all my hyperfixations. And then I post on my story probably like once a day because I think memes are so funny and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to repost this immediately. Also, if you enjoyed this video, give it a like or subscribe so we can hit 1K so I can do the Q&A because I'm so excited. I've gotten a lot of really good questions on both of the posts that I made on Instagram and the post that I made on the community. So, so excited. Please, guys, leave comments. Leave questions. I will probably answer every single one of them. Except for, and I have seen this one, how old you are. Guys, if you can't guess, you can't know. So, that will probably be in there just so I can put it out there that I'm not answering that question, and I never will. But, leave comments, leave suggestions, leave a like, leave a subscribe, and also, comment in the comment section if you see any books that make you think of me and recommend them. I'll probably read them. Unless they're a lot of money. Don't recommend series. I literally am as poor as a rat. So if you're like, oh my gosh, you should read the Shadow Me series, I can't. I have $2 in my bank account, and I just literally went to the bookstore today and bought 2 more books to go on vacation. Because we definitely didn't learn well with Amelia, if only because I was like, I'm gonna read this on vacation, and then I didn't. I'm just rambling now. So, Yep, I've summarized what I want you to do so many times by now. Bye, cutie patooties. I'll see you in another video.